All right, Dialogue Decalogue. The Dialogue Decalogue was published in the Journal of Ecumenical Studies in 1983, revised in 1984, and is by Leonard Swidler. Just as a note, you can go to the website that shares some of the more basic or variations of the Dialogue Decalogue. It also has the full original version by Leonard Swidler that you can look at. However, here in the workbook is the full Dialogue Decalogue that you need in order to complete the tasks. So the tasks in this case are numbers 4 and 5, and it's asking you to fill in missing information. So what is information being asked for each of these rules? Well, it's to think about the rule and ask, how is this rule easy to follow? Or how do we make it easy to follow? What can we do to make it easy to follow? How is the rule difficult or hard to follow, or what might make it hard to follow? And then I want you to think about how the rule is important. How is this dialogue commandment important in our class, but also just important in general when we live in a very diverse society? So the first rule says, or first commandment, the primary purpose of dialogue is to learn. That is, to change and grow in our perception and understanding of reality, and then to act accordingly. So in the workbook, I have provided some examples that have been used by students in previous classes. And so, for example, this rule should be easy because it should be easy to have the attitude of learning. There are always things we do not know, and the only way to obtain information is if we are open to learning. If I am not part of a dialogue to learn, then it is not a dialogue, but instead a debate or argument. So the rule is easy because if we are here to learn, then it should be what we might call common sense. But remember, as you go through this, common sense isn't so common. And being open-minded can mean different things to different people. So it's not just saying we should be open-minded. It's saying there are always things we do not know, and the only way to obtain information is if we are open to learning. So not just having an open mind, but being open to learning. This rule could be hard because if someone is interested in debate or argument, this rule may be hard because they are not necessarily, wow, I need to update the grammar in here. I apologize. They are not necessarily there to learn, but only to prove their point. This was a previous student, and I just copy and pasted it. It's been there for a semester too. That's okay. This rule can also be hard if you insist that there is no new information that could change your perspective and you are stuck in your ways. So there are times you might even go into a classroom thinking, okay, I already know everything I need to know about this. I'm here to get a grade. I'm not really here to learn. The purpose of dialogue is to learn. The purpose of going into a class is to learn the subject matter. So, what I want you to think about, this rule is important because. So why do you think it's important, whether we are going into a dialogue with somebody who we may or may not agree with, whether we are going into a class that we already do or don't know anything about, that we need to be, as this rule or this answer stated, open to learning? Why is it that we need to understand that to learn is to change and grow in our perception and understanding of reality? So think about that, and then we have a lot of chickens making noise, and they are roosters making noise. All right, we're going to go ahead and go through the second rule, and then I will do another video for the next couple of rules. All right, so second commandment, interreligious, interideological dialogue must be a two-sided project within each religious or ideological community and between religious or ideological communities. All right, so what does two-sided mean? It means both people get to speak. People on both sides of the aisle get a voice. And that is whether you agree or disagree on the subject matter. So, previous student, let's see if I have any grammar issues here. This rule should be easy because if we are already following the first rule and have the attitude to want to learn, then this rule naturally follows. It is easy to make sure we both listen and speak in a two-sided dialogue when we are seeking to better understand one another. Further, people often seek equality, fairness, and justice in interactions with others. That sounds accurate. It sounds like if we are looking for equality, fairness, and justice, then this rule is easier to follow. And it also seems like if we are already following Rule 1, it will help us. But why might it be difficult? Or what are situations where it might become difficult to follow this rule? Think about situations you may have been in, or a situation, maybe you're a parent and a two-sided discussion with your child just isn't going to happen because you know they did wrong or you were told it, and you're not really, in this case, not even following Rule 1, you're not there to listen. So that could make it difficult. But I want you to think of how it is difficult in your own words. This rule is important. It is important that we are willing to participate in two or even multi-sided discussions to better understand spirituality, religion, philosophy, and culture. We live in a global society, and to grow in empathy and compassion to others, two-sided dialogues where we are open to listening and learning is the path to productivity and mutual respect. Right. I would say it's also important because as students, I ask you to do the icebreaker discussion and get to know one another, because in the classroom, it's important to have multiple sides, multiple views expressed. Not all students have the same views. Even if you're of the same denomination, you might have different views, different beliefs, different practices. So it's important to have these dialogues, which means it's important to participate in discussions. Because when we participate in discussions, we begin to grow in it's right here, we grow in our sense of seeking equality, fairness, justice. We grow in compassion and kindness and empathy and sympathy. And so there's a lot of reasons this rule is important to follow. All right, I'll be back with the next rules here shortly.